Hey, what's up, guys? Jason Resnick here, your only offense partner, aka College Walensky. Now we're going to go over the defense of break side, fore side, and in front of the stack dump. I'm first going to start with the mark and how the mark should be set. So typically for the stall count that is 0 to 4, I do that for the inside flick around right here, because typically college players, they like to look up field for those 4 stall counts. And then from 4 to 6, I stay pretty much flat on them like this. Is my preference. Still looking for both ways, because they still are looking for both ways, but typically 6 to 9. 6, 9. Yeah, it's fine. I'm still flat on the mark, but I'm favoring my right hand. I'm biting on whatever backhand they're about to throw, because that is the most likely throw for them to occur. And if they are looking for the backhand, they see I'm there, they try and throw an inside flick. That's a low percentage throw, probably around 70-80%, and we can just get D's off of the probability of that inside flick that most college players will not be able to throw all the time. So that's the basic mark there. So again, 0 to 4, no inside. Still be conscious of the around, but you don't have to set up exactly horizontal, exactly vertical. And then 4 to 6, vertical, looking for both ways and shuffling. And then 6 to 9, a little bit on the inside, but mostly looking for that high probability throw around the mark. And now for the dump, they're probably going to engage 4 to 6, so the mark should be in a situation as Lucas said before. And typically, as a defender, you line up in their pathway. We like to go to the gym. We like to condition, work out. So we are a team that we can use our body, because we're going to be bigger and faster than the other team. We do not have to shy away from putting our body in the way of them. If they just run through us, that's a foul, and they have to go back to the disc. Again, we're going to do that in this 45 degrees line, because as a defender, we analyze what the offense does. And typically, if the defender, if the dump offender cuts up here, I typically, if my body and they hit into me and then try and go around, I stay in a shuffle until this line. So I don't turn my hips and start running, because if I turn my hips and start running and they come back, then that's it. I'm over here, and I don't even have a chance to seal the disc for the throw of the break side. So typically, when they're setting up their cut, I am staying in a shuffle until I get to this line, and then if they continue their cut after that, I turn my hips and commit with them, and I get ready to bid on that upline throw. But until they cross this 45-degree line, I stay in a shuffle, so that if they stop and turn back around, at that point I am able to, in a shuffle, I can just switch back across rather than turning all the way around, and I will be able to cover them on both sides. So that's the main thing. It's like while you're setting up your field, the cut down field, as we talked about last week, we stay in a shuffle until they commit their hips. Same thing for the dump defender, but just slightly different angled cuts. Now for defending the front of the stack, I like to defend at a 45-degree angle right here. I feel it best for just cutting off whatever angle, because as we mentioned before, sometimes the front of the stack will go to the fore side, sometimes they'll go back. So this way we put pressure on both sides and don't just lead them to the one. Again, let them shuffle back and forth, let them run to your body, let them get scared, because they're college kids that might be playing ultimate they might be the first or second year. They might get scared at any contact possible. If they cut, the front of the stack is probably the hardest to guard. If they cut back this way, it's very easy to commit your hips, and then they turn over upline. So typically, what I like to do is Lucan can chime in after this if he has a specific style, because I can't say I figured this out completely. Is when that person, so if the front of the stack is cutting, then this person already made the upline cut it over here. This space is open. I typically like to stay shy behind them and block off this upline cut because I like to rely on my mark that they're at least going to make the backhand hard enough that it will float a little bit, that I'm staying behind them by half a step, making sure they can't make that double cross cut, so that I still have a chance to bid for the disc, or I'll at least 100% have a chance to go and seal the break side throw right here. If I'm on this side, I just have to come across. But I do choose to force them a certain way. Once they bump into my body and they waste 2 stall counts trying to get around me, then I let them come down here, stay a step behind here, and I rely on my mark to try and make it a difficult throw that I can hopefully bid and make up my ground on for a D. Do you have a different style, Luca?
No, just similar. Just trust the mark to take away the around and say, hey, if this thrower is going to have to throw an inside here, it's going to be a tight window. It's going to be last minute, unless they're throwing it basically as the person is cutting off the stack. So just trust your mark that it's going to work. You're not always going to be able to force a turnover there, but what you can do is just stay close, seal, and make sure that they don't get break side action.
All right, and now, so basically what was in the middle of the field, the break side, it's basically the same thing on the sideline, so you can transpose that over there. But however, if we are on the away side of the field, it is slightly different. Again, Luca talked about sometimes people will poach the lane. I typically will do that for the first 3 stalls, or first 1 or 2, just like 1 pump, 1 cut, because if they do get a lot of movement here and here, and the handlers are very smart, they can change the point of attack, and it can be very dangerous. So I typically, if I'm going to poach, if at all, I'm going to poach for just about 2 stalls, and that's it, because I know my downfield cutters, after 2 seconds, will be able to get in position and will be able to hold their offender back. But just in case the disc comes from this side and I'm trailing behind, I will stop there, give my defenders downfield, get a chance to switch to the other side. And by that time, we have lockdown defense downfield. So I don't like to hold that position for very long, besides 1 or 2 stalls. After that, I'll come up and I like to line up vertical to the dump defender to take away this very easy backhand. What a lot of people do is they line up like they're on the break side and always think, oh, I got that front angle. But a lot of good throwers can just hit that person's back left hand, and that's it. You don't even know the throw's coming because you're looking at your mark and they're right here, and the throw just comes around and hits them the left hand. So I like to take away that around throw by going horizontal to them, and this forces them to go up line into this tight space that both the mark, because we're on the sideline, the mark is relatively flat because there is not much danger to the left of us, and they have to make that cut, and I stay at about this angle to make sure that they don't if they come back, then it's the same easy backhand. If they go up and come back, it's the same easy backhand. So I make sure once they're setting up their cut that I stay on their inside shoulder, so that if they come back, they're going to hit right into my right shoulder, and that's going to stop them from their cut being set up. And this forces a very low percentage throw in between the mark and myself. And if we have a team throw this 10 times, at least one of the times they're going to bobble it, and I'll be able to get in there and knock it away. It's going to be a lefty backhand that floats up in the air. I'll have a chance to D it, or it'll just be turf. So I like to force this low probability throw to here by, again, setting up so they can't go the backhand, and then once they set up their cut, to stay on their back left shoulder so that they can't turn around and get the easy throw again. And that's all it for dump defending.